Thank you for joining the 2024 R1 feature review for the Distribution Edition. Today's speakers, in order of appearance, are Debbie Baldwin, Director of Product Management for Manufacturing, myself, Kelly Squazzaro, Senior Product Manager for Distribution, and Dana Moffett, Product Manager for Distribution. During today's session, we will review new capabilities designed to thrill customers, optimize inventory, and streamline operations. Debbie will review DRP, or Distribution Requirements Planning. I will cover improvements to customer returns, and Dana will close with an overview of the new WMS improvements. Let's get started.
Today, I'm going to do a short demo of Distribution Requirements Planning, or DRP. First, we'll review some basic DRP terms, and then we're going to jump right into the demo. So, what is DRP? DRP stands for Distribution Requirements Planning. Acumatica's Distribution Requirements Planning, or DRP module, is a powerful planning tool that enables you to satisfy demand while maintaining optimal inventory levels, all from one centralized location. DRP provides suggestions to buy, make, or transfer inventory, and provides exception messages to alter existing orders with the unofficial goal of preventing you from running out of inventory or having too much inventory. It is the process of balancing supply and demand for a given item based on planning settings. Acumatica's DRP module calculates its supply plan based on a number of sources of demand, including forecast, kit components, existing sales orders, reorder points, and safety stock. Lead time is also factored in to ensure a just-in-time plan based on your specific supply and demand requirements. Now let's move into the application to see a demo of Distribution Requirements Planning. Within Acumatica's inventory module, you can maintain your finished goods, subassemblies, and component parts, and determine if those items should be factored into your DRP supply plan calculation or not. The Inventory Planning Workspace serves as a launching point for the Material Planner, where they can manage and create forecasts, run DRP exceptions, and of course, see your supply plan or the DRP display. A regeneration function is also included so that you can regenerate your DRP supply plan as needed or on an automated schedule. Let's take a DRP example that uses a forecasted item. Here, we've set up a keyboard to be forecasted on a monthly basis. We'd like to forecast a quantity of 100 each for next quarter. I've also marked this forecast to be dependent, meaning that if any sales orders come into Acumatica during the time of this forecast, we will consume the quantity on those sales orders from this forecasted amount. Acumatica is now going to give me a supply plan that will help me understand when I need to purchase the items in order to have them just in time to meet the forecast. Let's take another DRP example where an item is transferred from a different warehouse. Here, we've set up an item to be transferred from the wholesale warehouse. I have a safety stock of 15 laptops, and my transfer lead time is 7 days. Acumatica is going to suggest that I transfer the laptop from the wholesale warehouse anytime my inventory drops below 15 laptops. And my last example is a kit. Here we've set up a laptop cleaning kit with 4 components, each with a quantity of 1 each. We have a sales order for 50 laptop cleaning kits due on the 19th. Acumatica is going to suggest that I create a kit assembly for the 50 cleaning kits. It's also going to suggest that I purchase the components in order to make the kits, taking into account any lead times. Since this is demo data, and it won't take too long, let's regenerate DRP. But typically, DRP would need to be run nightly or on a schedule. On the DRP display, let's sort by inventory ID. In the source column, we can see how the supply plan is telling us to purchase, transfer, or assemble based on demand. We can use DRP to purchase across multiple warehouses or to purchase from different vendors, and to understand what documents in the system are actually driving demand. Let's take the example of our forecasted item. If we take a look at these lines, you can see here that we have the finished good that we entered the forecast for. Acumatica is letting us know that we need to purchase 100 each of the keyboards on these specific dates. If we click on our side panel, we can see that it's suggesting this date because it's taking into account our 17-day lead time. And it does this with each suggestion for each month. Let's take a look at our transferred item. Here, we can see that we have the finished good that will be transferred. Acumatica is letting us know that we need to transfer 15 laptops from the wholesale warehouse to the retail warehouse immediately, and there's a 7-day lead time. So this is already late since we're out of stock. It's also telling us that in the wholesale warehouse, we need to purchase the laptops to meet the demand of the retail warehouse, as well as purchase 15 laptops to meet the safety stock of the wholesale warehouse. Acumatica is allowing us to generate both the purchase orders for the laptops in the wholesale warehouse, as well as the transfer order for the laptops in the retail warehouse. And finally, if we look at our kit item or laptop cleaning kits, Acumatica is letting us know that we need to create a kit assembly for 50 kits. It's also telling us that we need to purchase the air blower, the brush, the cloth, and the keyboard gel. And notice it's telling us that we need to purchase the components 2 days prior because we have a 2-day lead time. To create a purchase order, transfer order, or kit assembly, I simply click on the line and click the appropriate button at the top. The vendor location, and quantity are defaulted in, but could be changed prior to creating the supply order. Once the order is created, it falls off the inventory planning display since we already took action on the suggestion. We can use grouping suggestions to place our items all in one purchase order if they're going to the same vendor. And once the purchase order is created, we'll no longer see them on my DRP display screen. If I want orders to automatically be combined when I generate DRP, I have the option to set this up on the inventory planning preferences. In this example, the orders would be consolidated by using the days of supply on the stock item. Then, after 90 days, it would consolidate demand in 30-day buckets. We can now go through the process of sending our purchase orders out to vendors and receiving them into the inventory as they come into our facility. Let's regenerate DRP once more so we can take a look at our exception messages. Remember that our laptops were out of stock and they needed to be purchased? We now get an exception message that we need to expedite our purchase order. Planners can also use the exceptions list to get an understanding of any orders that might be late, that should be deferred, or perhaps canceled altogether. This exception window can be defined on the DRP preferences screen, along with settings about forecasting and the overall grace period for replenishment parameters. If you're looking for further flexibility on the DRP display, you can use Acumatica's tools to filter down and modify the data. For example, if you want to see your suggestions for a particular warehouse, then you can select the warehouse from your list and filter your DRP to see just those suggestions. The same applies for any parameter on the screen. If you only wanted to see your replenishments or suggestions from one particular vendor, then you could use the column header to filter down on that vendor, or you could just click on the vendor and Shift F, and this will create a quick filter just as easily. Acumatica is well known for its ease of use, and that certainly extends to the DRP module. DRP also has planning buckets, which can be created with intervals of day, week, month, or year. And these can be viewed on the Inventory Planning Requirements by Item screen. Acumatica's DRP module provides one centralized location to manage supply and demand. You can create purchase orders, transfer orders, and kit assemblies based on multiple sources of system demand. Lead times are considered for just-in-time inventory management, helping you to keep your facility lean. You can manage material requirements across multiple warehouses and locations, and use our regeneration feature, which can be scheduled automatically. Thank you for listening to the Distribution Requirements Planning demo.
Additional enhancements have been made to inventory planning in 24R1. To get more information on these enhancements, please attend the manufacturing session. Customer returns improvements. Processing a sales order return is a common occurrence for many businesses. Often the customer is on the phone and the user wants to respect their time and process the return as quickly as possible. On the right is the Add Invoice Details form from the previous release. As you can see, the filter options are limited and require the user to know the reference number or invoice number to find the item to return. The customer doesn't always know the original invoice number, and without that information, the user is scrambling to search through numerous orders to find the line item to be returned, taking up precious time for both the customer and the employee. Today, I will demonstrate the new search criteria on the Add Invoice Details form that will enable the user to quickly find the original document containing the item to be returned. I'll also show you a new side panel that provides visibility to all returns against an order. Let's now jump into the demonstration where I'll show you the power of the new capabilities designed to increase employee productivity and customer service by streamlining the creation of a sales order return and improve visibility to return history. Imagine our customer, USA Bartending School, has called and wants to return a few products. As in previous versions, I'll begin the creation of a return by identifying an order type of RC, identify the customer, USA Bartending School, and select the Add Invoice button where I can search for line items to be returned. The first item ABC Bartending School wants to return is a 12-pack of Coca-Cola. They don't know the inventory ID, but they know the sales order number. Using the filters, I'll enter a type of SO and enter the order number. The system has limited my view to line items on this sales order. In this example, there's only one line item. In 24R1, additional columns have been added to assist in processing a return. Original quantity. This was labeled quantity in the previous version and could not be overridden here. Available for return. This quantity will reflect if the item has already been returned or partially returned. Quantity to return. This will default to the available to return quantity, but can be overridden for a partial return. Also notice there are links to the original sales order and invoice should you need to access additional information. To proceed with the return process, click on the unlabeled checkbox in the left column. The quantity to return defaults to the full return amount of $7,800, but USA Bartending only wants to return 10. I'll override the quantity and add the line item to the return. If ABC Bartending didn't know the original sales order number, I could try to find the line item by using the filter Inventory ID. Since I know they're returning cola, I used cola to search and find the product that I'm looking for. Several line items appear. The customer recalls the time frame of the original sales order, so I use that information to filter my search further by date. From there, I can find the line item to be returned. I select the line item, accepting the default quantity, and add the line item to the return. ABC Bartending also wants to return a Keurig machine, which is a serialized item. I'll start by searching for the product. Notice, because I have entered a serial type item, the system has opened up the search field for serial number. The customer provides a lengthy serial number, and using the new filter at the top, I key in a portion of the number and easily find it. I then select the line item, accepting the default quantity to return, and select Add at the bottom of the screen. Finally, ABC Bartending School wants to return a stapler that is a component of a new employee desk kit they purchased. I'll start by searching by Inventory ID. And because the customer only wants to return a component of the kit, I'll select the Show Non-Stock Kits by Component box. The system displays the full list of components for this kit and how many were purchased. I'll select the stapler component to return, changing the quantity to return to 1. And as this is the last item to be returned, I'll select Add and Close. As you can see, all the line items I've entered for return are visible on the Return for Credit, and we can continue to process the return. As I mentioned at the start of this video, in 24R1, there is a new side panel providing visibility to return information processed against a sales order. You'll find this panel will come in handy should there be questions about the return in the future. The new side panel tab, labeled Related Returns Document, can be accessed from both the sales order list and from the sales order view itself. The top of the form displays a summary of the sales order. displaying the total quantity on shipments and the total quantity on returns in the item's base unit of measure. The related return documents table shows links to return orders, as well as related shipments and AR documents. Had there been a dropship vendor return, the links to the returns and their AP documents would show here as well. The return documents by line list the inventory IDs of the items in the sales order lines and links to the respective return orders and return invoices. In summary, in 24R1, the customer returns process has been streamlined, improving employee productivity and customer service. New filters on the Add Invoice Detail form make it quicker and easier to find line items to add to a return. And the new Related Returns document side panel provides visibility to all returns against a sales order.
Let's take a closer look at the Picking and Packing Efficiency Inquiry. The Picking and Packing Efficiency Inquiry was introduced in the 2023 R2 release. The Picking and Packing Efficiency Inquiry can provide valuable insights into the outbound operations of fulfilling orders. Know who picked, packed what and when, how quickly, and how efficiently. Identify high performers and help team members requiring assistance to meet their objectives. As an audit trail to outbound picking and packing operations, this inquiry can be used as a tool to identify course corrections and set goals to improve performance. For the 2024 R1 release, new capabilities have been included. Wave and batch pick lists are now supported. The system now counts all the scanning operations performed by the picker or packer. This can be compared to the number of useful operations, which is the optimal number of scans or steps. As well, the number of errors made is now recorded and available in the inquiry. Every time the system provides an error message or validation, for example, if a user had erroneously scanned an item's barcode, an error message is shown with a request to scan the correct data. This error is counted. Start date time and end date time of each operation are now also displayed, providing warehouse operations with even more meaningful insights into picker productivity. To provide you the context of the improvements that have been made, we'll start by showing you what the inquiry looked like prior to the introduction of these new enhancements in the 2024 R1 release. Let's now see the enhancements with our demo. Here we are in the Efficiency of Picking and Packing inquiry, where I'm expanding by day. Notice the date and time stamps for the start date and the end date. This is something new. We can now expand by pick list. So here I'm going to see the pick by shipment as well as the wave and the batch and the results grid. I can filter on the number of errors and look for those picks that have more than 2 errors. Here I'll clear the filter, and I can use this lookup to search for a particular shipment that I want to dive into and look at the picking productivity. I can also inquire and drill down for particular worksheet numbers. So notice that the batch and the wave are now supported. I'm looking into the number of errors here in this batch pick list. I can see the number of useful operations and compare it to the number of actual operations. Now let's take a look at a wave that I'm going to look at. So here I can dive into the details and the productivity of this wave. So here are a lot of brand new insights, enhancements added to this inquiry to provide our warehouse manager with a bird's eye view of all of the picking and packing activities in the warehouse. The next feature that we'll highlight is the aggregated quantity for picked lines. Being able to aggregate the quantity for picked lines provides warehouse workers with greater flexibility during picking. This capability supports expediting the picking of an item needed for multiple sales orders on a shipment. The set quantity can be used to specify the total quantity of that item being picked, with the end result being that the picked quantity is distributed across the multiple orders automatically. There are some important WMS settings that drive the behavior of this feature. If an item is lot tracked and the Use Default Lot Serial Number setting in Sales Order Preferences for Warehouse Management is selected, the quantity is spread among all the lines for the item in the location. If not selected, the quantity is spread among all the lines for the lot in the location. For serial tracked items, when the option is not selected, each serialized item must be scanned separately. When selected, the quantity can be spread among the lines in the location. If the Use Default location is selected, the lines of the item are aggregated, ignoring the location. Pack mode is also supported. Pack mode can be used to pick into the box where the picking and packing are done at the same time. Now let's have a closer look at this feature with a demo. So here I have multiple sales orders having the same item on them, so setting up the scenario where we can see this feature in action. I'm going to begin our picking process by printing the pick list, and using that pick list I'm going to simulate barcode scanning. So here I'm going to copy and paste the shipment number to get us started. So here I'm going to simulate the scan, paste it into our pick, pack, and ship, and I begin the process of picking. I'm going to scan the barcode of the location and then the barcode of the item. So we're going to begin our picking with the Lego 500-piece set, which is not lot controlled. And here I'm going to use the set quantity so that we can see this feature in action. I will specify the full quantity. So I will scan or enter 25, and notice that this quantity that was picked gets automatically distributed against those two sales orders. Now we'll pick our second item, so we'll indicate that we're picking from the same location. Here we have a lot controlled item, this Powerade. Now I will scan the lot number. So notice that the same lot number will be used to satisfy this full pick. So here I scan that lot, and again using this set quantity, what it will do is for that lot, that full pick quantity will be distributed across those two sales order lines. Notice here we're in pack mode and we're using paperless picking and showing you the settings. Here we have again the same situation where we have an item that is spread across two sales orders. So here showing you that it's supported in paperless picking, and we're demonstrating this pack mode. So here just skipping ahead to where we are in the picking and starting to scan the barcode of the item. So here this lot control item that we saw in the previous example, here we're going to specify that full pick quantity by using this set quantity. And the same outcome that we saw in the previous demonstration will be that that full pick quantity will be distributed automatically across those two sales order lines for that same lot. And then we'll just click Finish and Next. And in our scenario here, there's nothing else left to pick. In our picking queue, it's empty, so we've completed our paperless picking. The last WMS feature that I would like to show you is a bidirectional pick list for paperless picking. This feature adds more options for paperless picking. Bidirectional means just that. You can start picking in one direction with the system guiding picking in reverse direction to optimize the picking process. This feature has the advantage of reducing the number of footsteps pickers are making by having them retrace their footsteps. There's a new setting in sales order preferences called Allowed Bidirectional Pick List that guides the behavior in paperless picking. This setting affects the mechanism for finding the nearest pick list when the picker clicks Next List. If selected, pick lists are ordered so that the path is optimized to support both directions, lowest to highest, and then highest to lowest path. If not selected, a single direction is used, which is lowest to highest path. Before we see a demo of the feature, let's visually see what is going to happen and why. In the scenario that I have set up to illustrate the concept, we're going to pick by shipment. Paperless picking using that bidirectional picking setting selected will optimally order these pick lists so that I start picking from lowest to highest path. Notice that it will guide me to start picking the Lego from R1S1. The warehouse location's path number is 20. I have 3 items to pick on this pick list, so it'll send me to the next highest path number, which is in R1S2, where I'll pick that widget 100 item in red. I'll then walk over to R2S1, which has a path number of 40, the highest path number in my example. I'll pick the widget A from the first pick list. I then am guided to pick the second pick list that has just that widget A item. the blue circle. Here is where the bidirectional takes place. The system will guide me to start picking in R2S1 since I'm already there. Remember, its path number is 40, and then it will reverse direction and tell me to go to R1S1, which has that path value of 20. That was the reversal or change in directions that just happened. So what would have happened if I didn't have bidirectional picking on? Well, when I go to pick list number 3, the paper list picking would have had me walk over to R1S1 instead, the lowest path with a value of 20, start there, and then finish off my pick list in R2S1. That arrow that you see for pick list 3 would have been in the opposite direction with the setting off. Now let's walk through that same visual example that I gave you using paperless picking. So you'll recall that I have those 3 pick lists where I've got 3 items, one pick list, I've got 2 items, and then another one I've got a single item on the pick list. So here I am in paperless picking, and with that setting turned on, the system would have already optimized the order of those pick lists that I'm going to start picking. As we had shown in our visual example, the first pick list that comes up is the one with the 3 items on it. So I'll begin picking from that first location with the lowest path. So here I've started to pick in R1S1, the Lego. And the next item that I'm going to pick from, the next item that I'll pick from is the R1S2 location. So that has that widget 100 item. So I'll finish picking that. And then I'll go to the third location with the highest path and start picking the final item, that widget A. So now I'll finish and go to the next pick list. So if you recall in our visual example, the next pick list up is the one that has just a single item on it that's in that R2S1 location that has the highest path. So I'm going to pick there. And then the next pick list that is up is the final pick list that has 2 items. So here, while I'm there in that location, here's where the bidirectional picks in. I'm going to pick from that R2S1 location, that widget A, and then I'll finish my pick in the lowest path number, which is for that Lego in the R1S1. So that's the bidirectional picking in action.
Thank you for joining the 2024 R1 feature review for the distribution edition. Please be sure to refer to the release notes for additional information.